Daniel here. With the pending release of Grand Theft Auto 5 for PC, I just wanted to cover a few things here. A big question is minimum requirements because it's been 5 years basically since Grand Theft Auto 4 was released. So all modern PCs are more than powerful enough to play that game. But the question now is, do those modern PCs that are 2, 3, 4 years old, are they powerful enough to run Grand Theft Auto 5? Well, Grand Theft Auto 5, thankfully, has the minimum and recommended specifications already posted. They would have done so actually for the pre-release, or the pre-order rather. So again, when you're looking at a modern computer, you may not have Windows 8 or 8.1. You should have Windows 7. If you have Windows Vista, you should be looking to upgrade to at least Windows 7. And the reason I say that is they made a lot of improvements. Windows Vista is basically the Windows Me of stepping stones. It was very new to Microsoft in the way that they designed operating systems. So it does have its flaws. So definitely, if you have Windows Vista, I'm not recommending that you upgrade to Windows 8 or 8.1, but you should go to at least Windows 7. And that's for this game as well. If you have Vista, yeah, you'll be able to play it, but I recommend that you go to Windows 7. Windows 7 is able to manage your computer's resources far better than Windows Vista ever could and ever will be able to. Therefore, it's going to lend a hand to a better gaming experience. So definitely I recommend that you have Windows 7 minimum. They're stating that they're only supporting 64-bit systems. Okay, which is sort of surprising, not surprising. It's surprising because they're willing to support Windows Vista as long as it's 64-bit. But that leaves a lot of computers that are 32-bit dual-core CPUs sort of in the dark. You won't be able to play the game according to their specifications. There's a chance that you might be able to actually load the game, but it'll take a long time, or it won't be able to process the game sufficiently enough. They may have some sort of software engineering that detects your hardware and will not allow you to play it if you don't meet certain requirements, which could be also the case. So that having been said, if you do meet the operating system requirements, as mentioned, Windows Vista Windows 7 should be the minimum that you're looking for. If you have Vista, look for Windows 7 to give you a hand with some better performance there, in-game and outside the game, with normal processing applications, so on and so forth. Now the processor is telling you that it wants a Core 2 quad-core, at least a 2.4 gigahertz, which is the Q6600, as you see here. They're telling you outright, no, you have to have a minimum quad core. That means all of the E85s, E8400s, so on and so forth. Before that, the Core 2 duos that are duos, they're not Core 2 quads. Chances are that the game won't load for you, or you may encounter problems doing so. Whether this is a strict policy as far as their game, I'm not sure. But again, you're going to need something sufficient. This means anything from probably 2007, 8, so on and so forth. I'm not sure exactly when the Q6600 was developed, but we can find out. We're going to do that just by jumping over to Intel.com here. Look up the Q6600. Of course, doesn't tell me. if you look for this stuff through Google, it'll find it immediately, and then you go to their search and it doesn't work. Intel, fix your stuff. That's annoying. Let's see here. So they're not going to have it in anything recent. So we're going to do this differently. We're going to go back. And I'm actually going to take this out of full screen for a moment here. And just do Intel Quad Core. And we'll do Q6600. And oh look, we found it on our web page. Okay, so it's 2007. Okay, first quarter of 2007. So if you have a computer that was new in 2007, just double check to see if it's a quad core 6600, and if it's not, you're going to be looking at some upgrading. If you're going to upgrade, I recommend that you get something more modern anyway. Even if it's used and it's 1 or 2 years old, it's better than upgrading just the CPU to meet the minimum requirements. So having said that, that's minimum specifications. If you have an AMD, they want you to have a Phenom 9850, and again a quad. So that's not too bad, because usually when you have something that's an Intel quad, the comparable AMD is like a 6-core variant. So that's actually pretty good for minimum requirements. Computer system memory 4 GB. Keep in mind that it should be 4 GB free physical memory. So if your system only has 4 gigs, okay, you might run into some problems there, because the operating system is going to want to use 2 at least. Okay, so again, minimum requirement 4, you might get away with it. If you have 6, okay, because then the system will have 2 available to it, and the game will be able to function within the hopefully 4 gig available range there. Now, video card, I'm very surprised by this. I am so surprised by this that when I heard that this game was finally being released for PC, I wasn't sure if my NVIDIA GTX 650 Ti boost card would be enough. And looking at the minimum requirements, a 98 GT is so old. I mean, it's even older than these CPUs, I think. I mean, like, it's an old card. And again, of course, AMD, or I'm pretty sure it was still ATI back then. But an HD 4870 card, as long as they're DirectX 10, so on, compatible, basically that's the base card that you need, something that supports DirectX 10. So you're not going to have crazy graphics with these cards, okay? You're going to have to probably set the video display requirement down to pretty low graphic quality. But if that's what you have and you want to play the game, at least you can play. Again, sound card, as long as it's 100% DirectX 10 compatible, then they don't care. Okay, it doesn't really matter what you have. Onboard, third-party, PCI Express, doesn't matter. It could even be PCI, because these are going back as far as 2007. That's a long time ago. So, yeah, as long as you have DirectX 10 compatible sound card, you're not going to have any problems there. Now, hard drive space. If you have a computer built in 2007, 2008, something like that, and you've had it for a long time and you only have one hard drive and you have a lot of movies and MP3s, so on and so forth, you might find 65 gigabyte disk space hard to come by. Okay, but hard drives are pretty cheap. You can get a 500 gig drive for like 60, 70 bucks. It's not a problem. Okay, if you need to upgrade your hard drive, go ahead and do that and upgrade to Windows 7 at the same time, if you can find it, because it's really hard to find now. But it's not impossible. You can still find it if you know where to look. So again, minimum requirement, that's not too bad. That's going to be the same as recommended. Okay, the game installation and size is what it is. There's no getting around that. So, having said that, all the minimum specifications mean you can have a pretty docile, weak computer in comparison to what you would buy today or within the past year and still be able to play the game. So that's good news. As long as it's a quad core and you don't have a really rank video card or like onboard video that's like useless, okay, which all of them are pretty much as far as gaming is concerned. These cards are going to be hard to find too. So again, if you have to upgrade this and you can find this, go for it. But if you have to upgrade this, then you have to upgrade this because it's going to be basically you're not going to be able to find this. I couldn't find a Q9550 for the longest time, and I finally found one for an old server. So again, if you're going to have to upgrade anything major, you're going to be in this range. So this is what you're looking for. So of course, they're recommending that you have at least Windows 7. I didn't even see this here, but as I recommended, don't use Windows Vista, and they're telling you don't use Windows Vista, basically by telling you it's recommended that you don't use that pile because it's not good, because you're probably going to be performance problems. So then your processor, they're saying, yeah, we want you to have an Intel Core i5, which is a quad-core CPU. It's not 4 CPUs. Way to go, Rockstar. It's 4 cores. It's 1 CPU. So i5s, there's i3s, i5s, i7s. i5s are a very good performing CPU. That's not on the lower dual core range, and it's not the i7, but they're still really good, really good actually. No problems there as long as you have an i5 that's a 3470 and or an AMD equivalent. Right, I didn't see this either at first, but remember how I was saying that it's usually when you have like a comparison with a 4-core or a quad-core Intel, it's like a 6-core AMD. Well, this is a perfect example. They're telling you, yeah, you can use a quad-core, forget that it says CPUs, a quad-core Intel or an 8-core AMD as a comparison, because even though AMD used to be a faster CPU for its given clock speed, and compared to an Intel, the reverse is much true for the past 5 years or so. And AMD, it's not that it's bad, but you have to go a little higher up in the range to compete. So there you have it. And they're also saying that the clock speed needs to be higher, which is surprising. So if you have an AMD, you're going to need an 8-core CPU, and it needs to be 4 gigahertz to meet their recommended specifications. This means a good performance level, or a 3.2 gigahertz Intel. Memory, 8 gigabyte. Again, they mean 8 gigabyte free memory. If you're running a system that has 6, chances are it's going to run okay. If you have a system that is 8 and the operating system is using a couple of gigs, it's probably still going to run fine. My system happens to have 16 gigs. That was purposely done because I knew that games would be expanding into the 8 gig range very quickly. So I didn't want to just give myself 8 and not have room to move. So the 16 that I have will work fine. I recommend that you have these 16 in a modern computer as well. Don't let the guy at Future Shop say, oh, you just need 8 gigs and you can play anything or do anything. Not exactly true. And by next year, it'll be, we need 10 gigs or so on and so forth. And what happens is you buy a modern computer today with computer memory in it. If you buy 8 gigs now and a year down the road you need more, it's going to be harder to match that memory. You don't want to mismatch memory in your system if at all possible. So it's better to buy as much memory as you can fit on your computer's motherboard when you buy it, within reason. This board that I'm using is an Asus Z87, and I do believe it takes up to 32 gigs of RAM. That's something that I figured would not be necessary. The computer would probably be replaced before I need that much. But again, if you're going to be gaming, don't get a basic system with the basic graphics card and basic this, because you're only going to pay for it in the long run. So if you have to upgrade, get 16 gigs of RAM. RAM is cheap. It's the cheapest performance upgrade performance. Well, basically, it's the cheapest way you can gain performance in the system that is lacking memory, because as soon as you add more, the system speed picks up significantly. Absolutely outrageous. I just upgraded an older computer that was converted to or upgraded to Windows 8.1. It's a Core 2 Duo, and it's only a 2.4 gigahertz. So it's much like the quad here, but it's only a Core 2 Duo. So it has two cores, not four. So it was upgraded to Windows 8.1 by someone who should not have upgraded that system for the client, but they did anyway. And so they had obvious performance issues with the 3 gigs of RAM that they had. I took one out. I matched the Kingston RAM that was in it perfectly, very luckily, because it's getting old. So I special ordered 4 gigs in. That system now has 6 gigs, and it runs very smoothly. So it's the perfect example of how adding RAM to a system that is that has been given the poorest chance of performing well by giving it the bare minimum amount of RAM you can get away with. Yeah, it's the best solution. RAM is important. So again, if you're upgrading, go to 16 gigs if you can, so that you have at least 8 free plus extra for the future. Now the video card, they're telling you that the good performance level is going to be the NVIDIA GTX 660, which is a 2 gigabyte memory card, or an AMD equivalent, which is the HD 7870 apparently. And this is weird, because you think, well, if you're looking at my computer specifications, right now I have a GTX 650, but it's the boost model. So you're thinking, okay, well, is this going to work? Well, the thing about NVIDIA is you can just jot over to their website here. You're going to go to their products, you're going to go to the processors, and in my case it's a GeForce. It's a desktop GPU. So let's go there. It's going to be at the bottom here. Yep, 650 boost. Click more info. You're going to go to the performance here, and they give you a relative performance graph here. And the 650 boost Ti, the 650 Ti boost is right here. And its performance level is actually better than a 750. It's better than a 750 Ti. Okay, so 660 is the performance level that they're recommending. The 650 that I have just squeezes in under that. I can almost guarantee you that the game will not even care. Okay, I'm sure it'll perform fine. If it doesn't, well, then I have a problem on my hands, because I don't want to replace my video card at this time. It runs everything I've played so far absolutely perfectly. The only thing that didn't run perfectly, I can't remember the game. It's super graphics intensive and third person, and I turned the graphics up all the way, and it ran really poorly, and I tweaked one video setting and it was completely smooth. So, and I didn't even like the game, so I didn't bother playing it any further. So when you're looking for um, a comparison of your hardware to what the recommended specifications are, it's really important to know that just because the number is lower doesn't mean its performance is lower. Like, like in terms of its performance, um, if this is the performance level that they're recommending, and you have a 650 Ti boost, which is obviously faster than the 650 Ti before it has the boost technology, and you're like, well, I have a 750, so they're recommending that I have a 660 and I have a 670, so sorry, a 670, a 750. So I should be able to play it because it's a higher number. Well, look at the performance difference between what they recommend and a newer card. So it doesn't mean anything. You really have to take the performance specs of the card, or the actual benchmarks, and compare them to what they're recommending to really know where you're at. Because to say you need a 660 and you turn around and say, well, I have a 750, but then the 750's performance is so low, in comparison, I don't know that the 750 card will play it very well. Now, of course, it's going to play it much better than what they're recommending here, but the level of graphics, the smoothness, if you want to use vertical sync, if you want to use anti-aliasing, if you want to use the various graphics capabilities to make the graphics as smooth and as perfect as possible and maintain a good frame rate. A good frame rate is going to be anything. If you have a card like this, it's going to be 30 max. You're at low settings. You're never gonna have a really good frame rate. I find anything around 40 frames per second is pretty good. So if it's anything like Grand Theft Auto 5 or 4 rather, you're going to have a benchmark within the game, and you'll be able to find out soon enough. Hopefully, you will not have bought the game and find out that you need to build an $800 plus computer to play it well. And this is why I'm putting this video out there. I just want people to know ahead of time that you really need to look more in depth. You can't just say, well, this is what I have, can I play it? Investigate a little bit, because you may or may not be able to play it very well based on what you have. So again, they want a 660 or higher, or AMD equivalent. Again, sound card, they made it simple. Either it's DirectX 10 compatible or it's not. And again, hard drive space, 65 gigabyte. If you have a solid state drive, this is going to hurt, because most solid state drives out there are 120 gigabyte, 128 gigabyte, 240, 256. And if you get into the 512 or the terabyte range, they're crazy expensive, and most people don't have those. So if you have a solid state drive, that might put the hurt on a little bit, and you may need to, if you have a larger capacity mechanical hard drive, you may need to change the installation location to the mechanical drive. I'm sure solid state may not have enough oomph to get it through. So those are the specifications. I hope this has helped people out a little bit in trying to sort this out. Again, very surprised that a computer with hardware this old is a minimum requirement. However, I suspect that with this type of hardware, you can expect a PlayStation 3 GTA 5 experience compared to a PlayStation 4 GTA 5 experience. So that's it for now. I'm still looking at getting the game on the day of its release. Hopefully everything works out smoothly, and if it does on the day of its release, I will post the first Grand Theft Auto 5 for PC review video. I really hope that things pan out well for everyone who's been waiting a very, 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 very long time for this release. Sad because they could have released it a long time ago given this, but sometimes it's worth waiting for. Ciao.